20 and 15 minutes. Boy, this should be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see the new system of the day. Let's start with the three wise kings first, and let's place the bets on that one, and here we go. Okay, that's a $30 bet to start. We have 6 streets covered and $5 on each. Let's go ahead and spin. And here we go. That's a 15 black. Okay, we lost the first one, and when you lose, this is the next step. So you add some additional bets, but you don't increase the size of them. Just like this. And then you spin at a $75 total bet. All right, here we go. That's a 20 black. All right, we got it. That's a $45 bet. You can see now we're at 15, and we go back to where we started. So let's go back to the original bet. And that's a $30 bet, $5 on 4 streets again. Let's go ahead and spend. And that's a 0. So we definitely lost that one. Let's add those bets back in again. Now this system adds a 0 in after a little while, and I'll share with you when that is as we go through. So let's go ahead and put the bets.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning where you're at.
Yeah, oh yeah, 9 o'clock.
Awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Well, hey, thanks for kind of working with me a little bit as we finished up the conference. And
Yeah, no problem. I talked to my son a little bit the other day, day before yesterday, and yeah, he's like, Dad, I was going to do this isogenic thing years ago and for health and fitness, and you told me not to. And I said, son, it's because that was all about getting people, distributors. It was product based, but the product will. Let me ask you this: where are they at now? Are they still around? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, this company here has been around before you were born. It was called Rexall back when you were like 3 years old, son, and they're still going strong. So, it stands the test of time. This is the company when you want to align yourself with. And your dad's big in the network marketing. I'm a big believer that everybody should belong to network marketing. It should be an income stream for everybody. And this is the one I'm telling you, son. I wouldn't steer you wrong. This is the one you need to put your hat on. So he said, I'll listen.
Yeah.
I'll listen to him. So, we definitely got his ear when we're ready to talk to him.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And it was fun being at the event that I was at. This, Unicity does kind of a tournament event, a big one like I was just at once a year that they do the convention in November. And, Stuart Hughes, the owner of the company, the sole owner, actually spoke a little bit, and he talked about, zero debt on the company. It's not publicly traded, it's private, so he doesn't have to answer to, Wall Street people on.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it was kind of cool to see that. And you're right, it's just some other highlights of it is, metabolic issues, 1 out of every 3 Americans. And so, there's 100 million people just in North America that this product can help, or just in the United States that can help, and then about another 100 million more that would like to lose, 15, 20 pounds. And so the opportunity is big. It solves a big problem. And
yeah.
So anyway, we'd love to speak to your son, and you can make any time this week happen on that.
He's in Florida right now visiting some friends from LA. I don't know, he's not going back until the 15th, so we'll have to wait till at least sometime after the 15th to pin him down. And he is hard to pin down. I will tell you, he's very hard to pin down. But we'll get him. We'll get to him. We'll find a time.
Well, good. Did you have any other questions, Ben? Just about anything else?
Well, no. Other than I got to call my pharmacist tomorrow and talk to them about the ingredients. But that's the only thing that I don't want to say it's holding me back. But that's the only thing that I'm waiting on is just to get some third party opinions on. Because like I said, Harrelson Kenny, when I reached out to him, he said, "Oh, it's plant based. There's no interactions. It's plant." I'm like, "Well, I want you're a doctor. You should know that,
Yeah.
you know, most of our medications that aren't made in the lab come from the rainforest anyway, and they can have interactions with medicine. I mean, if you're denying that, then your head's in the sand. Now that's just a horrible statement to make. That just makes no sense at all.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. You know, Kenny's, yeah, you know, he's growing like crazy, but he's definitely a sales guy. And I think he's got, you know, good intentions, but he probably, you know, doesn't take the time that's necessary on I guess on certain questions. And
Well,
yeah,
well,
he's a sales guy.
yeah. He told me, he said, well, I was on blood thinners too, and I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You know, you were on blood thinners, and you never got that checked out. You just took the blind faith of somebody that said it's okay, and you risked throwing a clot and dying because somebody said it was okay. That just doesn't make any sense to me, Aaron. That doesn't.
Yeah.
Anybody with half a brain, if they have a potential contraindication or a health issue that could be exasperated by whether it's medicine, whether it's a plant, or whether it's a food, or no matter what it is, doesn't get that checked out and just blindly listens to somebody who's going to be his future upline. It doesn't speak of a lot of intelligence to me. But I'm not saying Kenny's done, because I know he's not. Because I know to get through chiropractic school, you got to be a pretty sharp cookie. But I'm just a little. He's just a little overzealous. I mean, he is a salesman. And that kind of threw me. You know, I can read people fairly well, and he comes, at least to me, he comes across as a salesman, and I just don't. I don't like his approach on it. I just don't. I don't like his approach.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, I think Kenny definitely has some good intentions, but you're right. He is a sales guy, and maybe there was somebody that he trusted he talked to, and he just, for simplification, said, well, I was on. Maybe that's how he thought it would be the best answer for somebody. But like you said, that's kind of a salesman approach, right? Well, here's the best answer. I'll just give him this answer.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's what I know, and this is how I handle this side of the business. And I know there'll come a time where someone's going to say to me, hey, I'm on a blood thinner. You know, is this safe for me? I don't want to just say, well, yeah, my upline Aaron said it was, and I talked to the guy at Unicity, the research developer. He said it. It's like that's not the answer I want to give somebody. I want to give somebody an answer that's based on fact that, you know, that historically, you know, this company's been around for 20 plus years, and you know, blood thinners have been around longer. And you know, you're not the first person. I'm not the first person taking this product. It's on a blood thinner, and nobody sued the company for stroking out yet.
Yep.
You know,
and that's exactly what I would do too. Like I'm not even going to say, you know what? I'm not sure I know the answer quite yet, Ben.
Yeah.
Let me do a little bit of digging and I'll find out. I think people appreciate that. Right?
They do.
They don't expect you to know everything right off the bat.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I love that approach. That's exactly the way that I'd handle it. But
well, you know, Aaron, it goes back to the old. And look, I have a credit card processing company that I still own and operate, and
awesome.
I have sales reps up and down the East Coast, you know, selling our product, and you know what I've always told them is the old adage, and I know you've been around the block, you've heard this before, but a lot of younger people haven't. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know, and when you can convey that to somebody, that look. Besides everything else, at the end of the day, I care about you being happy. I care about whether it's I care about your success or I care about your health. They've got to know that more than they don't care how much you know.
Yep.
They just want to know that you care, and that's important.
It is. I'll tell you, that was probably one of my top coins. It's funny that you said that. That's why I kind of laughed a little bit. I've used that so many times in my career.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, just it's exactly true. Nobody cares. Yeah, how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good sign of a good leader, right? They don't follow titles.
Right.
They follow someone because they care. They care that you care about them.
Yeah.
So no, I appreciate that, and Ben, I just know talking with you. I feel like you follow. Been really good at what we're trying to do in our team, and you know, Trent's done a really good job of creating a system that if people kind of follow the system, And it was interesting, and there was a lot of people that were recognized just in reaching different ranks in the company, and the speed in which some of them have reached some pretty awesome levels is pretty cool. Because, like I said, Trent's got a system figured out where you can utilize social media. There's science calls every week. There's opportunity calls every week. So it's almost like it's plugged into a system. And I said those that are following do really well. So I'd be really excited for your son too.
Yeah.
How old is he?
27.
27. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, it's just awesome to see a lot of people winning, which
Yeah.
I think another direct sales organization that seems to happen for some of the bigger people. I mean, I guess there's other people that win too, but had nothing like this. Nothing like what I've seen with this, so it's been fun to watch.
Well, now, is Trent your upline or your downline?
No, Trent's my upline.
He's your upline, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I've known Trent for, like I said, 25 years. In fact, during COVID, we owned a little internet business together.
Huh.
And I had another, like a coaching company,
Uh-huh.
based in Utah. But that internet company, it was serving rural America, high-speed internet for rural America. We're getting our service through AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And the crazy thing blew up during COVID, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Everybody's working from home, game from. But for that same reason, about 6 to 8 months after COVID, it started to head downhill because people were everybody's gaming from home, working from home, entertaining from home, schooling from home, and it was clogging up the towers. And cell phone users were getting upset. So rather than letting somebody have unlimited, data on their internet, they're throttling them down to 150 gigabytes per second, right? So there wasn't that many people that were. So there's a lot of people using their data really fast, and they're getting mad. We lost a lot of customers.
Yeah.
And that's when Trent kind of saw the writing on the wall, because there was a period of time where, like I said, I had my other business, but that was kind of Trent's main focus, and he wasn't getting any money from that business. So he started looking into this, had a gentleman up in Toronto, Canada, who he'd known, because Trent used to work for Unicity, and he lived in Taiwan for a period of time, so he's handling some of the Asian market. And then he kind of saw what they were doing, is interested in maybe coming as a distributor, but then started doing some outsourcing from some of his contacts in China. And then he and I stayed in contact, and this kind of fell into our laps, this internet business. And to kind of put in perspective, in 2021, we've grown up. We started kind of in 2019, the very Q4, and in 2021, we did just over $10 million in revenue. And so it had grown that fast, but like I said, as quick as it rose, it fell, and we weren't taking any money out of the business, just trying to maintain it. And then AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile started doing their own marketing for their own high-speed internet at home.
Yeah.
It became harder to compete for Google AdWords when AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile wanted to spend a whole bunch of money, and those were the ads being pushed to the top. And so Trent jumped into this in 2022, and in the last 3 years has built an extremely significant business doing it.
Well, I mean, you don't have to give me specifics, but can you give me a range? Like, what's Trent doing a month?
He's doing about in January 2023, or maybe even a little bit after that. But she had her best month last month, and did 72,000 last month.
72. What do you float around, Aaron?
So I got started in probably January, and as I was kind of transitioning my roles and responsibilities in my company. The last month I did about 3,500,
Okay.
and I think this month I'll do about 5,000.
Okay.
And so it's, like I said, it's not those numbers, right? But I'm shooting towards that. I'm knocking on the door of the rank of senior director.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I'm starting to see these reward trips. I'm starting to see all these other people that I feel are talented, but I'm just as talented, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn. I haven't put a ton of time into network marketing. I've done a few things here and there, but I've always kind of been in, like you've always been in business. I've done some real estate investing, and that's kind of what's allowed me to put a focus on this. So I got some short-term rentals in different places, the U.S. And sometimes they're good, but also the same thing. I'm like, man, I invested $1,500 to get started into Unicity, and I'm making about $3,000 to $4,000 a month consistently, and on a good month I could make up to $5,000. Depends on kind of how I finished the month. But in order to do that in real estate in 6 months, I'd have to probably put $400,000 down on a single family home, or maybe even a fourplex, to get that type of money coming in every month. And then the headache that's associated with that, like I had somebody, we sold our short-term rental in Blue Ridge, Georgia, but man, I remember we sold about 3 months ago, but I remember in March getting a phone call from somebody that's staying there, said, "Hey, we're sorry, our dog ate the back of your couch." I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
So anyway, I know it's kind of a long story, but this has been one of the best investments I've ever seen. I'm in the black almost from 30 days into it, 60 days into it.
Yeah. Now, is 1,500 your entry point that everybody needs to?
Yeah. Yes. No. Good question. It is. So, the way that it works is a little bit different. A lot of companies buy like a business in a box.
Yeah.
With Unicity, that $1,500 buys you a 10-pack of the Feel Great system. Right. And so the whole goal behind that is the first thing we're saying is like, listen, in this business, we want you to get 10 customers. Sell your 10-pack, right? And if you got 10 customers and they're paying, the $159 a month, right? You make about $25 every time somebody buys the 10-pack, or not the 10-pack, but every time they pay every month. And so if you got 10 customers at $25, that's $250 a month. So you're making money, right?
Yeah.
And your subscription every month is $159. And as I go live on TikTok, like I said, I've probably got about 65 total customers right now. But I'd say I think 40 of them are 55, 40 or 45 of them you say that's active, and there's still someone following up with. I have one just say, you know what, I didn't order this month because I was traveling a lot, didn't really get started, but I'll start up again next month. So I'm not sure why some others did not order this month, but that's part of the follow-up with my customers.
Yeah.
And some of those will become partners in the business. But the 1,500 buys you a 10-pack of the Feel Great system, which is 2 Unimontes and 1 Balance. And the goal is to sell that 10-pack, right? Who are people that you know that could use? And I kind of just kept my 10-pack and even used it as kind of a lost leader sometimes. Like if somebody's like, well, I'm interested in it. Well, let me give you a packet. It's like if I think somebody's like could be a good fit, let them try it out.
Yeah.
And then I've also got family members. My daughter's taking it, my wife's taking it. So
Right. Okay.
yeah, a good call.
Have you run across the guy on TikTok called I'm DRC, so everybody calls me Dr. C, but his name is actually Dr. C. I think his handle is DR / C, kind of like me, but he's got like 48,000. He must have been around longer than me. I've only got like 11,000 followers. He's got almost 50,000, so I'm sure he's been around for a while. But he's a medical doctor. Have you run into him yet on TikTok with the product?
Dr. C.
Yeah. DR / C. He's I think he's pretty sure he's a medical doctor. And he was doing his presentation, and I was waiting to see, he was using all the keywords, fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, and I'm thinking, okay, this sounds like and so sure enough, he never mentioned the company, but he held up the two sticks, the 2 packets. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. That's what he's getting at. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know him actually, which is so funny. I mean, a guy that has 48,000, but I've seen him on TikTok, but I don't know him personally. Okay. And I didn't see him at he was at the event. Well, no, this was a different event. That was back in February.
Did you find him? Did you find him on TikTok though?
I did. Yeah. I did. Yeah, but I was looking at some of his pictures. He's got a picture with Dr. Benjamin Bickman, and I thought, and Dr. Benjamin Bickman spoke yesterday. Do you know Dr. Ben Bickman?
I don't.
He wrote the book Why We Get Sick. He's probably one of the foremost metabolic scientists in the U.S. right now. I mean, he has a podcast called The Metabolic Classroom. But if you looked up the book Why We Get Sick, Dr. Ben Dickman, and he is amazing when it comes to metabolic science. And he spoke yesterday, probably for like an hour, and he talked about insulin resistance, and he talked about anabolic resistance, which is kind of interesting. And if you asked me to articulate that, I probably couldn't completely until I go through my notes a little bit, do a little bit more research. But just talked about the importance of muscles with insulin resistance, and getting some of the good stuff we need for our muscles. Yeah, and he talked about things that leucine and mTOR and all these other things that I was like, I'm not quite getting this, but I will.
So let me ask you, Aaron, what the presentation that I heard you give on TikTok, very similar to Kenny's presentation, and a lot of the same stuff Dr. C was saying. Is this something is there a presentation booklet or packet that we use to make sure we're all saying the same thing, or are all three of you guys just kind of doing your own thing, but you're talking a lot about the same stuff? Or is there an outline to go by? Like if I wanted to start doing that, do I need to develop my own? I don't want to call it a pitch, but I mean that's what it is, right?
Yeah. It is, yeah, for sure. But so listen, I've never been able to sit through all of Kenny's. He's, in my opinion, he's on there way too long. But maybe the algorithm loves somebody who's on live forever, and that's why he gets a bunch of people that are listening to it. And I've never heard the other Dr. C. I've never heard his pitch either. But Trent gave me his outline. Trent's like, I don't go live hardly at all. But I'll give you the outline that I have used when I go live, and I've adjusted it. So yes, I've got kind of a PowerPoint outline that I can give you.
Okay.
And as you know, I kind of start with my story. And like I said, I think I do, like I said, with your credibility as a doctor, and as you kind of get a little bit of a testimonial of the product, live pitch 100%, but it's something that I feel like I've kind of come up with, kind of my storyline on it.
Yeah.
But I do it, some of the slides that I show, I got from Trent. And so maybe Kenny got that from Trent.
Okay.
And Dr. C, I'm not for sure where Dr. C fits in the organization.
Yeah. I don't know. He's I'm not sure. I like Kenny's presentation. It's just I just know he doesn't come. I love his information. He doesn't come across sincere to me. I just see dollar when I see Kenny speaking. I see dollar sign, and that may just be me. I mean, I'm not sure everybody sees that, but that's just a feeling. And then, like I said, trying to look. Okay, I shouldn't even be talking to you at this point. I should have been signed up with Kenny 2 weeks ago, but I could never get him to call me back. I could never get him to, when he did call him, when I did call him, he didn't answer his phone. I mean, every time I try to reach out to him, it's been a wall. I went to his opportunity meeting, listened to that for an hour, but he had some girl do it because supposedly he was too busy. He came on as like the big guest speaker, like, well, this is Dr. Kenny, like let's all bow down and worship him kind of a thing. And so he did his little deal, and then he backed out. So it's almost like he tries to make people think that like he's, I hate to say a big shot, but he's just not down to earth. And I said, look, if I have to spend this much time to reach out to you, and I'm trying to sign up, and you don't care enough to call me back, then you're just too busy for me. You're not the guy I want in my camp. And that's what and by the way, my son said to me, he asked about the income of the two of you guys. He goes, Dad, you've always told me your success depends upon your upline. What's your upline like? I'm like, son, this is an upline you can be proud of. They're gonna, when the phone rings, they're gonna answer it, and they're gonna help you, and they're making 100%. Money. But see, I couldn't fit with Kenny. That's why I'm saying you and I shouldn't have. If Kenny would have done his job, I'd have been signed up with him, and we'd have been off and running. I'd have never met you, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Well, selfishly, I'm glad he did call you back. Selfishly, right? But unselfishly, that is a little bit frustrating to hear that, right? He exploded on the scene last August. He joined, and I think he said he made $72,000 last month, or 70. Yeah, 76,000.
I believe it. I mean, I've listened to him twice, and he's very, very good. I mean, he knows how to keep your attention. His little laughs and his little sayings and little quips. I mean, he's got it down, and he's always got 300, 400, 500 people in his lobby listening to him. But I think I think the day I was in yours, did you not have 700 people in there, or did I dream that?
No, probably did. I maybe had 70, but no, the most I've ever had at one time was 200, but most of the time I average around probably 40 to 60.
Okay, you know what? I think it was Dr. C that had the 700. I'm like, one of you guys had a humongous. I'm like, holy crap, that is a lot of people listening to this guy right now.
I know, and I hope like over the year, I mean, I've only got 4,400 followers, but as I get better at the pitch, as I get more people listening, and it seems like morning times when you get the most people to listen to you, and Kenny's. One thing I will say about Kenny, he works his butt off. He gets up about 4:30 in the morning, and he does a live almost every morning, and he's on it for a couple hours. And then, like I said, he kind of used that as part of his bravado, like nobody's going to outwork me type thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, to each their own. And like I said, selfishly, I'm glad he didn't answer you because I think we could do some magic. And
I think so.
And Trent really is. He's like you and I. He's that guy that he's humble. But he's ultra successful at this, and he's one thing. Even when we did the internet business together, one thing I was amazed with Trent is he's really good about getting systems in place that allow people to also win. And we want people to win. We're excited about people winning, and even my other company down in Utah. I mean, for most of the years that I've been, and I still am a partial owner in that, but. We've been one of the best places to work in Utah, right? We really tried to. We love seeing our people win, right? It's not all about us because if your people aren't happy, if they're not doing well, then really, what are you doing?
Right. Well, so what is the winning strategy then that Trent has, and what is the matrix payout? Like that's one thing Ben said to me. Ben said, "Well, Dad, you know how do you have to build your downline? What do you have to do to be successful?" I'm like, don't know, son. I have no idea.
And we'll jump into all of that, but I'll give you kind of a brief overview on what I know. If there's questions you have that I don't know, I said we can get Trent on for sure, but it's a unilateral system, right? So not bilateral, and there's 3 legs. I mean, you can have as many people wide and underneath you as you want, but it's about three legs. When you can have one power leg where a lot of things compress to that leg. So say you have like 6 partners under you. And one leg's doing a certain amount of volume, the other one's doing another one, and then another leg's doing some more volume, right? Those are the 3 legs they would focus on, but those other legs would compress into your largest leg, so you can still count that volume towards your leg. And so if one leg's doing X amount of volume, the other ones are probably somewhere between 50% of that, and the other one's about 50% of that. And so let's say to be director, one leg, matter of fact, I'm going to up on my computer, so I'm not giving you any bad information here, but
so it's not a binary where you get paid on your lowest leg.
Correct. Yeah. That's exactly right. And then there's a centurion tracker, and that once you get to 100, the amount of below your own customers, your commission on your downline doubles. And that's 100 centurion points. And every time you have a customer, that's 1 centurion. So, right? Or if you have somebody sign up and buy the 10-pack, the 1,500, that counts as 10 centurion points, right? And so, like, I'm on track this month to do probably 65 to 70 to 80 centurion. I'd say 60 to 80 centurion points. So I'm starting to get up there, right? But let's see.
When you get to a level, Aaron, do you keep that level, or do you have to re-qualify every month to get it again?
So you're that level, but in order to, but it still tracks that volume, right? And so your volume can go down, but you're at that level, right? And so let's see. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, like director, which is director's kind of the that's where you start qualifying for all of the rural trips as director, right? And so you need one leg doing 5,000, you need one leg doing 3,000 of total volume, and one leg doing 1,000.
Now, so what's the volume? What makes up a point of volume? How does that?
That's everything underneath you in that leg. So that could be your customers, that could be your partners that are getting customers, that could be your partners getting partners.
But what counts as volume though? So if somebody buys the pack for 159, how many points is that toward the volume?
That's 100 points.
Okay, so every sale is 100 points. Every time somebody orders the product, the $159 pack, it counts towards 100 points.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. 100%. And then, like I said, if they buy a 10-pack, so it's about what would that be? So so whatever points you get, the total volume that you're doing is just times by 160, right? Because for example, if you do, it's $1,550 for a 10-pack, and that gets you 1,000 points. And every 100 points is 1 Centurion point.
Now, is this like most network marketing companies where less than 1% of the people that are builders are actually making money, or is it a higher percentage than that?
I don't know if I know the answer. So anecdotally, this is just my viewing it. I would say it's way higher than that because it's such a customer-based business, right? And so it rewards people who also get customers. Right, whereas a lot of network marketing, if you're not getting partners in there and getting partners underneath you, you're not growing or improving. But with this, there are people who live, like this one lady and her husband, they're both over 70 years old. They had a pretty big platform on Facebook, and Facebook's kind of that older demographic, and they did a presentation and had 500 people buy one time on Facebook. I was at dinner with them on Friday night in Miami. Just with a big group went out, and they happened to be just one person out. I sat by the lady's mom, and the lady's mom's like 82, and I was just chatting with her just because she's a sweet lady, and she's like, "Yeah, my daughter's doing it," and she might not be. That doesn't make sense when she says she's 70, so maybe she's in her 60s, right? They're in their 60s somewhere. But anyway, they crushed it on their Facebook Live. I can't even remember her name, but 500 customers in one outing. And that's not common, right? But,
no.
But anyway, there's a lot of people winning